On the evening of April 14, 1865, during the nation's celebration of the end of the Civil War, President Abraham Lincoln was tragically struck by a gunshot that would forever alter American history. Welcome to our channel, where we explore significant moments from the past. Tonight, we uncover the shocking truths behind that fateful evening at Ford's Theater. Imagine Washington, D.C., filled with joy, and Ford's Theater bustling with anticipation, only to be shattered by an assassination that shocked the world. Join us as we reveal the untold details of what transpired on that night, from the vibrant atmosphere of the city to the tragic events that reshaped American history. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's get started. Abraham Lincoln, the 16th President of the United States, is renowned for his steadfast leadership during one of the nation's most turbulent periods, the Civil War. Lincoln's presidency is often highlighted for his determination to preserve the Union and his instrumental role in the abolition of slavery, epitomized by the Emancipation Proclamation and the passage of the 13th Amendment. His leadership during the Civil War was marked by pivotal decisions and speeches that shaped the course of American history. The culmination of his presidency came with his assassination on April 14, 1865, which not only marked a tragic end to his life, but also sent profound shockwaves through the nation and the world. Lincoln's death was not just a personal loss, but a national calamity, impacting the post-war healing process and shaping the course of American history in ways that continue to resonate today. Chapter number 1. The End of the Civil War. On April 9, 1865, history was made at Appomattox Courthouse when General Robert E. Lee, the leader of the Confederate Army, formally surrendered to Union General Ulysses S. Grant. This surrender was the culmination of a grueling 4-year conflict that had deeply scared the nation, pitting brother against brother and leaving countless lives and properties in ruin. The moment marked not just the end of the fighting, but also a turning point towards healing and reconstruction. The signing of the surrender terms was conducted with a sense of solemn respect, reflecting the deep fatigue and yearning for peace on both sides. As word of Lee's capitulation spread across the country, there was an outpouring of relief and jubilation. Streets filled with celebratory crowds, churches rang their bells, and public gatherings erupted into scenes of joy. This nationwide celebration was not merely a response to the end of hostilities, but also a profound acknowledgement of the sacrifices made and a hopeful look towards rebuilding a fractured nation. And the atmosphere in Washington, D.C. By April 14, 1865, Washington, D.C. was alive with an infectious sense of festivity and optimism. The city was adorned with patriotic banners and flags, reflecting the collective euphoria over the Union's victory. Public spaces were decorated with elaborate displays, and streets were filled with jubilant crowds who had come to celebrate the end of the war and the promise of a brighter future. Ford's Theater, located in the heart of this vibrant city, was particularly bustling with excitement. That evening, it hosted a performance of Our American Cousin, a popular British comedy that had captivated audiences across the Atlantic. The theater was packed with approximately 1,600 attendees, including many prominent figures who had come to enjoy a night of lighthearted entertainment after the heavy burdens of war. The festive atmosphere in Washington, punctuated by the theater's lively ambience, starkly contrasted with the tragic events that were about to unfold, highlighting the unpredictable and dramatic shifts in the nation's mood. Chapter number 2. The Night of April 14, 1865. On the evening of April 14, 1865, Washington, D.C., was alive with an atmosphere of jubilation and relief. The city, freshly invigorated by the news of General Robert E. Lee's surrender, was buzzing with the excitement of the end of the Civil War. At approximately 8:30 p.m., President Abraham Lincoln, accompanied by his wife Mary Todd Lincoln and their close friends Clara Harris and Major Henry Rathbone, arrived at Ford's Theater. Their arrival was met with an outpouring of enthusiasm from the crowd gathered outside and inside the theater. The president and his party were welcomed with cheers that resonated through the streets, highlighting the public's deep respect and affection for Lincoln, who had guided the nation through its most tumultuous period. The private box assigned to them, a symbol of both honor and distinction, was situated directly above the stage, affording an unobstructed view of the performance below. This box had been meticulously decorated with an array of patriotic symbols. American flags draped gracefully around the sides, and an exquisitely framed portrait of George Washington, underscoring the evening's celebration of national unity and victory. The Lincoln's presence not only elevated the significance of the event, but also reflected the president's continued connection with the American people, even as he sought respite from the stresses of leadership. The setting of Ford's Theater. Ford's Theater, a grand and elegant venue in the heart of Washington, D.C., was the epicenter of excitement that night. The theater was packed with an estimated 1,600 patrons, all eager to witness a performance of Our American Cousin, a comedy known for its witty dialogue and humorous plot. The interior of the theater was ablaze with festive decorations that mirrored the city's celebratory mood. The main attraction of the evening, Lincoln's presence, was the focal point of the theater's design. His private box was positioned at the front and center of the balcony, allowing him a prime view of the stage and placing him in the spotlight of the audience's attention. This box was elaborately adorned with red, white, and blue banners and floral arrangements that enhanced the patriotic atmosphere. The setting was meticulously prepared to honor the president, reflecting the public's high regard and the significance of the occasion. The theater's opulent decor, combined with the fervent anticipation of the audience, created a vibrant and festive atmosphere that starkly contrasted with the tragic events that would unfold shortly. The intricate details of the setting, the American flags, the portrait of Washington, and the enthusiastic crowd combined to create a scene of national pride and celebration, which would be tragically interrupted by the night's events. Chapter number 3. The Assassination. John Wilkes Booth, a famous actor and ardent Confederate sympathizer, meticulously orchestrated his plan to assassinate President Abraham Lincoln with the precision of a well-rehearsed play. Booth's intimate familiarity with Ford's Theater, a venue where he had performed and frequented, provided him with crucial insights into its layout and operations. His knowledge of the theater's structure allowed him to exploit its weaknesses effectively. Booth had observed Lincoln's routine and knew that the president would be attending a performance of Our American Cousin on the evening of April 14, 1865. His access to the theater, facilitated by his prominence in the acting community, enabled him to blend in with the audience and avoid drawing suspicion. Booth's plan was not haphazard but rather the result of careful observation and strategic thinking. Armed with a .44 caliber Derringer pistol, chosen for its compact size and ease of concealment, and a hunting knife, Booth was prepared for both the assassination and his subsequent escape. The Derringer's small size made it easier to smuggle past the minimal security of the time. Booth's preparation extended beyond just the physical aspects. He had mentally rehearsed the attack, envisioning how he would act and escape. His decision to use the theater's layout to his advantage highlights his understanding of both his audience and his surroundings. The meticulous nature of his planning reveals a calculated approach to achieving his goal, driven by his deep-seated animosity toward the Union and its leader. The attack. At precisely 10:15 p.m. on April 14, 1865, Booth executed his plan with grim efficiency. He entered Ford's Theater through a rear door, an entrance that allowed him to avoid detection and maintain the crucial element of surprise. The theater was filled with around 1,600 people, eagerly awaiting the performance of Our American Cousin. Booth's choice of timing was deliberate. The play's humorous and light-hearted nature contrasted starkly with the violent act he was about to commit. The president's private box, situated above the stage and decorated with American flags and a portrait of George Washington, was an ideal vantage point for Booth's attack. Booth's entrance into the box was unobtrusive, thanks to his familiarity with the theater's layout and his ability to move silently through the space. Once inside, Booth shot President Lincoln in the back of the head with his Derringer pistol, inflicting a fatal wound. The shot was aimed to ensure Lincoln's death, reflecting Booth's precise and ruthless intent. After shooting Lincoln, Booth made a dramatic leap onto the stage, where he brandished his knife and shouted "Sic semper tyrannis," Latin phrase meaning "thus always to tyrants," which he used to justify his actions and add a theatrical flourish to his escape. The sight of Booth's escape, complete with his dramatic proclamation and visible weaponry, caused widespread panic and confusion among the audience. His escape route through the theater's backstage passages, familiar to him from his time as an actor, allowed him to evade capture momentarily. Booth's actions were not only a direct attack on Lincoln, but also a public spectacle designed to maximize fear and disruption. Immediate reaction. The immediate aftermath of the assassination was marked by widespread panic and chaos. The audience, initially stunned by the sudden violence, quickly descended into a state of confusion and alarm as the reality of the assassination became evident. The festive atmosphere of Ford's Theater was abruptly replaced by a scene of disorder and dread. Major Henry Rathbone, who had been seated with his fiancée Clara Harris in the president's box, attempted to apprehend Booth, but was met with fierce resistance. Rathbone's struggle with Booth, which left him severely injured, added to the tumult and chaos of the scene. As Booth fled the theater, the urgency of the situation became apparent to everyone present. Lincoln was rapidly transported across the street to the Peterson House, a decision made in a desperate effort to secure medical treatment. The scene outside the theater was chaotic, with onlookers and emergency responders trying to cope with the shock of the assassination and the critical condition of the president. The swift transport of Lincoln to the Peterson House reflected the gravity of the situation and the immediate need for medical intervention. As news of Lincoln's shooting spread, the nation was thrust into mourning and disbelief. The assassination, which had shattered the celebratory mood of the evening, marked the beginning of a profound national crisis. The loss of Lincoln, a leader who had guided the country through the Civil War and sought to heal its wounds, left the nation grappling with the implications of his death and the uncertainty of the future. Chapter number 4. The Aftermath. On April 15, 1865, President Abraham Lincoln passed away at 7:22 a.m., leaving a nation deeply immersed in mourning. Lincoln's death came just hours after he had been shot by John Wilkes Booth during a performance at Ford's Theater. The news of his passing was met with widespread sorrow and disbelief, as his death marked the end of a leadership era that had guided the country through its most divisive and turbulent period. In Washington, D.C., the streets were filled with grieving citizens who displayed their anguish through acts of collective mourning. The city's flags were lowered to half-mast, and churches and public buildings were draped in black. Lincoln's death overshadowed the celebrations of the Union's victory, transforming what was intended to be a time of national rejoicing into a period of profound grief and reflection. The impact of Lincoln's death was felt deeply across the nation, as citizens from all walks of life grappled with the loss of a leader who had come to symbolize hope and unity in a time of division. His passing was not just a personal loss for his family, but a symbolic end to the nation's struggle, leaving many to ponder the future direction of a country now bereft of its guiding figure. The funeral arrangements were swiftly made, and Lincoln's body was transported by train to Springfield, Illinois, where he was interred. This somber journey, known as the Lincoln Funeral Train, was marked by public displays of mourning and reverence in towns and cities across the route, further underscoring the profound impact of his death on the American people. Pursuit and capture of Booth. Following the assassination, John Wilkes Booth embarked on a desperate flight from Washington, D.C., which initiated a dramatic and highly publicized manhunt. Booth, a well-known actor and Confederate sympathizer, had meticulously planned his escape route, leveraging his familiarity with the region to evade capture. After fleeing the city, Booth and his accomplice, David Harold, traveled by horseback and on foot through Maryland and into Virginia, seeking refuge with sympathetic allies. Their journey was fraught with danger as federal troops and law enforcement agencies launched a relentless pursuit, fueled by a sense of urgency and a desire for justice. The manhunt culminated in Booth's eventual hiding in a barn on the Garrett farm in Virginia. The barn, surrounded by Union soldiers, became the focal point of a tense standoff that lasted several hours. On April 26, 1865, the Union soldiers, under the command of Lieutenant Colonel Everton Conger, set fire to the barn in an attempt to force Booth out. The smoke and flames created a chaotic scene, and Booth was eventually shot by Sergeant Boston Corbett as he attempted to escape through a window. Booth's death brought an end to a manhunt that had captivated the nation and provided a dramatic conclusion to the pursuit of Lincoln's assassin. The capture and subsequent killing of Booth were significant not only for their immediate impact, but also for their role in concluding a chapter of national tragedy. The conspiracy. John Wilkes Booth's assassination of President Lincoln was part of a broader and more complex conspiracy aimed at further destabilizing the Union government. Booth's plot was not limited to killing Lincoln. It encompassed a series of coordinated attacks designed to create chaos at the highest levels of government. The plan included the simultaneous assassination of Vice President Andrew Johnson and Secretary of State William H. Seward. The conspirators hoped that by eliminating key figures in the administration, they would disrupt the government's functioning and create a power vacuum that could be exploited. The attack on Secretary Seward, carried out by conspirator Lewis Powell, was particularly brutal. Powell, posing as a messenger, entered Seward's home and attacked him with a knife, inflicting severe injuries. However, Seward survived the attack due to his resilience and the timely medical care he received, which prevented the plot from achieving its intended effect. The arrests and trials that followed the assassination were a testament to the gravity of the conspiracy. The military tribunal that tried Booth's co-conspirators, including Powell, David Harold, and Mary Surratt, conducted a series of proceedings that were both swift and controversial. The tribunal's decisions, which resulted in the execution of 4 conspirators and varying sentences for others, were met with debate and scrutiny. The trials not only revealed the intricate nature of the conspiracy but also sparked discussions about the fairness and legality of military justice in cases involving political crimes. The conspiracy's exposure and the subsequent trials highlighted the extent to which Booth and his associates had gone to undermine the Union government, underscoring the severity of their actions and the broader implications for national security and justice. Chapter number 5. The Impact and Reflection. The assassination of President Abraham Lincoln had a profound and widespread impact, plunging the entire nation into a period of deep and pervasive mourning. The magnitude of grief was not confined to Washington, D.C., but was felt across the United States, from bustling cities to small rural communities. The president's death struck a particularly poignant chord because he had come to symbolize not just leadership but also the very ideals of freedom and unity that had guided the nation through the Civil War. His assassination, occurring so soon after the end of a bloody conflict, cast a shadow over the nation's tentative peace and celebrations of victory. Memorial services were held in churches and public squares, where eulogies extolled Lincoln's virtues and lamented his loss. Flags were flown at half-staff, and public buildings were draped in black, reflecting the somber mood that gripped the country. Lincoln's funeral procession, which traveled from Washington, D.C., to Springfield, Illinois, drew immense crowds of mourners who lined the streets to pay their respects. The procession itself was a powerful symbol of national unity and mourning, as thousands of people gathered to witness the final tribute to their fallen leader. His death also intensified the sense of uncertainty about the future of the nation, as people grappled with the loss of a leader who had been a beacon of hope during the darkest days of the Civil War. This collective grief was not merely about the passing of a man, but was a reflection of the anxiety over the potential instability that could follow in the wake of his death. The assassination of Abraham Lincoln on April 14, 1865, was a pivotal event that carried profound historical significance, profoundly affecting the trajectory of U.S. history. The immediate aftermath of Lincoln's death was characterized by a heightened sense of vulnerability and insecurity regarding presidential security. The assassination revealed the critical need for a more structured and effective approach to protecting the nation's highest office. This event prompted a re-examination of security measures and set the stage for future reforms aimed at safeguarding future presidents. The dramatic nature of the assassination, combined with its timing just after the conclusion of the Civil War, highlighted the vulnerabilities in the protection of national leaders. The tragic event underscored the necessity for a dedicated and well-organized security framework, leading to the eventual establishment of the Secret Service's role in presidential protection. The assassination catalyzed a series of changes in how security threats were managed, influencing policy adjustments and procedural updates that sought to prevent similar tragedies. The historical significance of the event extended beyond its immediate impact, shaping the evolution of presidential security practices and setting a precedent for the development of more comprehensive protective measures. The legacy of Lincoln's assassination thus became intertwined with the broader narrative of how the U.S. government approached the protection of its leaders and responded to emerging security challenges. Security failures. The assassination of Abraham Lincoln brought to light significant security failures that had profound implications for the future of presidential protection. The lack of adequate security at Ford's Theater was a glaring oversight that allowed John Wilkes Booth to carry out his plot with alarming ease. Booth's ability to enter the president's private box and carry out the attack underscored a critical lapse in the protection protocols that were in place at the time. This incident highlighted the need for a more rigorous and comprehensive approach to security, including the need for effective screening measures and increased vigilance. The aftermath of the assassination saw a thorough investigation that examined the shortcomings in the existing security measures and identified several key areas for improvement. The investigation revealed the failure to adequately vet individuals with known anti-union sentiments, as well as the lack of coordination among various security agencies tasked with protecting the president. These revelations led to a broader discussion about the necessity of a dedicated security detail, emphasizing the need for specialized personnel trained in protective measures. At the time of Lincoln's assassination, the Secret Service was primarily focused on investigating counterfeit currency and had no role in presidential protection. The assassination highlighted the urgent need for a formalized security service, leading to the eventual establishment of the Secret Service's role in safeguarding the president in the early 20th century. The reflection on these security failures not only addressed immediate concerns, but also set the stage for significant reforms in how presidential protection was managed, ultimately contributing to the development of more robust and comprehensive security measures designed to prevent future attacks. Chapter number 6. The Shocking Truth. John Wilkes Booth's motives for assassinating President Abraham Lincoln were deeply intertwined with his fervent Confederate sympathies and radical political beliefs. Booth, an ardent supporter of the Confederate cause, viewed Lincoln as the embodiment of Northern aggression against the South and believed that eliminating him would be a significant blow to the Union. His motivations were rooted in a misguided belief that killing Lincoln would galvanize the South, rekindling its fight and potentially reversing the Union's victory. Booth's political ideology was heavily influenced by his perception of Lincoln as a tyrant who had trampled on states' rights and sought to destroy the Southern way of life. This intense animosity was not just personal, but was also shaped by the broader context of the Civil War and its aftermath. Booth saw the assassination as an act of vengeance and a means to inspire chaos and unrest in the North, which he hoped would undermine the stability of the Union government and reignite Confederate resistance. His actions were driven by a complex blend of personal vendetta and ideological zealotry, reflecting his deep-seated belief in the righteousness of his cause and the notion that he could still influence the course of history through violent means. Booth's conspiracy to assassinate Lincoln was not an isolated effort but was instead part of a broader network of Confederate sympathizers who sought to undermine the Union government. His connections with various Confederate operatives and sympathizers played a crucial role in the planning and execution of the plot. Booth's co-conspirators included individuals with known ties to the Confederacy, such as Lewis Powell and David Harold, who were involved in the broader scheme to target key figures in the Union government. This network of support underscored the extent to which Confederate sympathizers were willing to go to destabilize the Union, even after the official end of the Civil War. Mary Surratt, who owned the boarding house where Booth and his associates frequently met, was a pivotal figure in the conspiracy. Her home served as a hub for planning and coordinating the assassination, highlighting her significant role in the plot. Surratt's connections to Confederate operatives and her involvement in providing logistical support for the conspirators were crucial elements in the conspiracy's execution. The coordinated nature of the plot and the involvement of multiple individuals with Confederate ties illustrated a concerted effort to strike at the heart of the Union government and exploit the post-war turmoil to their advantage. The suppressed evidence. The investigation into Lincoln's assassination uncovered a range of suppressed evidence that has fueled speculation and allegations of a cover-up. Many documents related to the conspiracy were classified for years, limiting public access to crucial details and raising questions about what information was withheld from historical scrutiny. These classified documents included records of the investigation and intelligence that might have shed light on the full extent of the conspiracy and its connections to Confederate sympathizers. Booth's diary, discovered after his death, provided further insight into his motivations and intentions. The diary revealed Booth's belief that the assassination would serve as a powerful statement against the Union and instill fear among its leaders. Booth's writings indicated that he saw his actions as a way to galvanize Southern sentiment and provoke a response that could potentially alter the course of the nation's future. The revelations contained in Booth's diary, combined with the classified nature of certain documents, contributed to a broader narrative of suppressed information and potential cover-ups that have intrigued historians and researchers seeking to understand the full scope of the conspiracy. The continued examination of these suppressed records remains crucial for a comprehensive understanding of the assassination and its broader implications. The assassination of Abraham Lincoln on the evening of April 14, 1865, stands as a watershed moment in American history, marked by both profound tragedy and glaring security failures. As the nation was on the cusp of celebrating the end of the Civil War, Lincoln's assassination not only struck a devastating blow to the country but also exposed significant deficiencies in the security protocols of the time. This heinous act was not merely the loss of a president, but a critical event that catalyzed an urgent reevaluation of how the safety of American leaders was managed. In examining the detailed sequence of events, from Booth's meticulous planning and execution of the assassination to the immediate chaos and the subsequent national mourning, one gains a comprehensive understanding of the profound impact this event had on the nation. The immediate aftermath of Lincoln's death was characterized by a profound period of grief that enveloped the entire nation. The profound sense of loss was compounded by the realization of how easily the president could be targeted, highlighting severe lapses in the existing security measures. This tragic episode led to a series of reforms aimed at strengthening presidential security, which included the eventual establishment of the Secret Service's role in protecting the president. These reforms were essential in addressing the vulnerabilities exposed by the assassination and ensuring the safety of future leaders. Lincoln's legacy, deeply intertwined with the tragedy of his assassination, continues to influence American memory and the evolution of security protocols. The event underscored the crucial need for effective protection measures and has since served as a poignant reminder of the responsibilities and challenges inherent in safeguarding the nation's highest office. The assassination of Lincoln remains a powerful symbol of both the perilous nature of political leadership and the enduring importance of vigilance in ensuring the security of the nation's leaders. The comprehensive examination of this event not only sheds light on a pivotal moment in history, but also underscores the ongoing relevance of lessons learned from this tragic chapter. As the night of April 14, 1865, drew to a close, the festive celebration in Washington, D.C., was tragically overshadowed by an act of violence that would echo through history. Ford's Theater, once a symbol of national pride and unity, became the stage for a profound tragedy. The assassination of President Abraham Lincoln marked a devastating turning point, transforming an evening of jubilation into one of profound grief and loss. The exuberant celebration that had filled the city was replaced by a somber reflection on the price of leadership and the fragility of peace. As we look back on this pivotal night, we remember not only the triumphs of the past, but also the enduring legacy of the struggles and sacrifices that have shaped our nation's history. Thank you for joining us on this journey through one of the most poignant chapters in American history. If you found this exploration of one of the most pivotal nights in American history as gripping and informative as we did, don't forget to subscribe to our channel. By subscribing, you'll stay updated with our latest deep dives into historical events, fascinating narratives, and comprehensive analyses. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a story that unravels the rich tapestry of our past. Join our community of history enthusiasts, and let's continue to uncover the moments that have shaped our world. Thank you for watching, and we look forward to bringing you more captivating content soon.